Welcome to the Overlord map guide. Now you might see there's no intro or anything like that. We're going to try and make these guides as quick and concise as possible. And that is why I'm using the Type 64. It's the fastest vehicle that I have in my garage. I don't have any EBRs or anything like that. So we're going to use this from now on. And this is going to basically just show you everything. The heavy tanks, TDs, light tanks, everything. No matter what the class is, we're not going to keep switching tanks. This is just going to show you all the spots that you need to go or can go in each different class. Okay, so light tank spot number 1 is going to be the middle of the map. So for EBRs, this is going to be great. You're going to love this spot because you can just fly up there, get everything spotted, and then just back off. And that's the main reason for this spot. You want to just go there, spot, and then back off, get unspotted, and then maybe go somewhere else. You don't want to keep doing this because then you become predictable. And just like with anything in World of Tanks, you don't want to keep doing the same thing, as it will be more than likely that you get shot doing it. So right there, you just want to do something around about like that. This will give you pretty solid arty cover here, so you could just wait around here for a little bit and see if any tanks peek up over here. But more than likely they're not going to arrive yet. But once you are up onto this position here, then you can basically see nearly into their cap circle. And right here, as long as they're not behind this building, you're going to notice anyone that pushes over here, which is going to be roughly around, well, as you can see there, it's going to be roughly around here. So anyone that's in this area, which is going to be light tanks, medium tanks, heavy tanks even if they go over there. So this spot will give you loads and loads of information really early on in the game. And again, if you are in a very, very fast tank, then this spot is the one for you. Spot number 2. Now, you can use these both on the other side of the map as well, but it's just in these bushes. Now, you just want to crest this and stay within these bushes here. As long as you have very good camera rating, this is going to be fine. The only thing that you need to worry about is anyone that's peeking up here. You will get spotted pretty much straight away. But I have had quite a lot of success in this position, especially with light tanks that have very decent camera rating. It's great. You know, ELC even 90, you come up here, you're fine. As long as you don't crest all the way over, you will be okay. Because as soon as you crest too far, for example, if you go, say here, that's too much. You're going to get spotted instantly. You see how your gun barrel's way too far through the bush? You want to be around about here. Because it doesn't matter if you can't depress your gun, you're still going to spot the enemies. Your spotting is like basically the top of the turret. That's where most of the spotting kind of optics are on the tanks. So as long as you do that, you're fine. The alternate bush is, which is a bit more safer, I will admit, but you just go up here and then you just sit in this bush right here. Again, you don't want to go all the way through. You just want to make it so that you can actually, the bush is opaque and it's not the bushy bush anymore. But yeah, this spot is nice as well, and you shouldn't get spotted going up here unless there is another tank on that bush there. And both of these spots, exactly the same. You start from the base, you go there. You start from the base, you go there. Or you go from the base and go and spot the middle and then retreat back. So yeah, this map's pretty symmetrical. It's not perfectly symmetrical, but it is pretty similar on each side. So I'm not going to go through each side because there's just no point. Okay, so let's move on to medium tanks. Now, you can go over into this spot over here with a medium tank where I showed you the light tanks, you know, and just try and peek over and shoot. But for most medium tanks, I would recommend either going over here, which I'll show you in a second, or you go over here. Now, as I said, you could go into the middle and go along with an M48 pattern or something that's very strong turret armor-wise, and use that. But if you're in a bit more of a heavy medium tank, then around here would actually help you quite a bit. You just need to be careful that when you peek this, that there's no one sitting over there, because you might spot them, but you might not. And the fact that TDs are probably going to be sitting over here that have good camera rating, you're probably not going to spot them straight away. So just be warned, this is a spot that's nice, but really this is where you want to be fighting, around this rock, or even around here. You know, you got shots from here, and even if you go forwards a little bit, you can shoot here. So just fighting around this rock is where you want to be, and not overexposing yourself to the TDs that might be sitting at the back of the map. So that's what you need to be careful of. If you're in a more lightly armoured medium tank, I would suggest going over here. anywhere around here, you know, you peek up, you take your shot, you back off. Especially if you have turret armor, you can go here or here. Doesn't really matter. All you need over here is okay gun depression and you're fine. If you're in a lightly armored medium tank, then maybe something over in this bit is actually something that you should look at. The reason why I say this is that it's pretty well protected. You've got this ridgeline that is fully like covering you. So you just go up here and you've got these bushes. So you shoot, you back off, and then you're safe apart from artillery. So the only thing that you need to watch out for is that you don't sit still for too long. So yeah, and the only other thing that you have to worry about is anyone that's sitting along this ridgeline doing exactly the same thing as you. But you should spot them, so then it becomes a bit of a cat and mouse game, and you're like, okay, let's back off, and then they peek, and then you peek, and then they back off. And yeah, it can be a bit messy, but as long as your team knows what they're doing, and they will help you actually push through here, then you'll be okay. Obviously, this goes for heavy tanks as well. I wouldn't go there in a heavy tank, but over here in a heavy tank is actually really nice. Something like an IS-7 would be great here, because you peek up here and you've got this little slope along here where you can actually hide your hull armor. So not only will you be able to shoot everyone, you should have strong armor at the same time, and not be too exposed with your lower plate. Just be careful though, as always, don't expose too much of your side, because then you just get shot and tracked and then you're probably dead. The one thing that you do really need to worry about is, again, the TDs. They're going to be sitting anywhere around here. Literally any bush around there, they could be sitting. The most obvious bush is the one that is over here. Lots and lots of TDs like to sit around in that bush there, which is roughly there. So you need to be careful of that, and they do have direct line of fire onto you from this position. So just be careful of that when you are pushing this. But once you have pushed this, make sure there's no one to the left, and you can then just clean up and farm anyone that's still lurking around here. As you can see, you have pretty nice... you can actually, again, go hold down almost and just farm up anyone that's around there. So for heavy tanks, yeah, and medium tanks, you can either go here, you could go here, you know, depending on the tank, go here, or go into the middle if you do have great gun depression. And be warned for light tanks, once your team does actually start to kill stuff and get into position, you're going to have to move, because this map, as I've said, is quite small, and your team can spot pretty much the other half of the map. So you're going to have to do some active scouting if you actually want to keep up your assistance damage. So sitting here for the whole game isn't going to help you. Once you've cleared out anyone that's along this ridgeline, then push. Then get into these positions over here, into one of these bushes, and then you can actually start spotting anyone else that's around here, and allow your team to then do the killing, so that you get all the assistance damage. There's no point sitting in a bush for the whole game on a map that is this small. So yeah, just take that into consideration. But let's move on to TDs now. Okay, so TDs. This bush is very nice to sit in. As you can see right here, if you knock down these two trees, this is a quick like tip, if you will, knock down that, and also knock down this one, but make sure that it's kind of crossing like that, and then if you back off, you'll then be double bushed and shoot anyone that's around here. So even if you're in a tank that doesn't have great gun depression, you're still going to have enough. Like, I think this has, what, -8 or something? So, I mean, that's only about, what, -2, -3, something like that. So even if you don't have great gun depression, this position will still work for you. And then you're double bushed as well, so you don't have to worry about being spotted. So, yeah, knock these two trees down and create yourself some cover. It's the one thing that I really love about World of Tanks is that you can kind of make your own kind of sniper's nest, almost, with your cover. So if you're playing TDs, yeah, take this into consideration. But if you're in a UDES or an SCRV, you can actually use your siege mode and just back off, and then you'll be fine right here. But anywhere along here really is fine for, you know, sniping with your TDs. If you want to maybe support your team over here, then you could go behind one of these rocks. It's not the best idea though, because you're more than likely going to get spotted as soon as you fire. So what I like to do, and what many people like to do, is kind of camp the red line. I know it's kind of like, you know, cliche and everyone's, oh, no, like, seriously, this is one of the best positions. Not only can they not even spot you, you're just completely safe. The only thing that can really spot you is an EBR driving through the middle of the map and coming over here, and then he spots you. Again though, the EBRs don't have great view range, so even the tier 10, if he gets to around about here, he might spot you. But if he's just driving around like this, as long as you didn't fire when he drives over, you'll be fine. So yeah, you know, the EBRs have like 260, 270 meters view range maximum, and that's like with improved ventilation, everything like maxed out. So yeah, but this spot is really nice for TDs. Alright, so now we're over this side of the map. Hello, little Pater noob. But this side of the map, again, we want to go over here. So over here is, to be fair, I've never really used this spot that much. I don't really play TDs too often. So yeah, but this spot right here is the spot that I was talking about. You can, as you can see, just about see over it. They're going to need to go around a little bit. But yeah, this position's okay. It's not the greatest, and you could actually move up to around about here, and then you can really see all of it. And as long as you back off and, you know, get behind this hill, this spot is nice. So anywhere around here, again, that bush can work. It's not great, but yeah, I mean, this bush as well, it's nice, but I mean, what are you going to do? There's only so many spots that the TDs can sit, and unfortunately for this map, there's a lot of hills and kind of trenches almost. I mean, it is the D-Day map, but there's a lot of hills and stuff around everywhere, so you need to just watch out for that, because TDs and tanks can just be everywhere. And you know, you could be looking at something and you think, well, why can't I see him? But then there's a massive hill in the way and you didn't even realize it. So like for this, it goes completely almost flat, and then it builds up here and then goes back down. So you need to watch out for that bit there, and for when you're actually shooting over here. But you shouldn't be spotted over here unless someone pushes up this ridgeline right here, or pushes up to here. And once they push up to here, then you can get spotted. There's the rock that I'm looking at. Oh, wait, where is it? There it is. You need to be watching out for anywhere around here, because they can see through these trees. You just need to be careful of that. Also, anywhere around here is kind of insta spotted, as long as they have decent view range. So yeah, this is just where you would sit if you want to sit over this side of the map and try and give your team as much support as possible. You can go over here, which I'll show you right now. So over here is a lot more open than the other place, and it doesn't really have any cover that you could use. The only type of cover is behind this rock, or, I mean, to be fair, if you're in an Object 268 version 4, you could actually probably use this and just start laughing at anyone that wants to try and shoot you, which would be quite funny, because they wouldn't really be able to pen you from that distance. Unless they get a really accurate shot or fire heat at you, you know, you're kind of laughing. But if you back off enough and then use this tree as cover, then it can be okay-ish spot. I don't really like this spot too much, because it's just way too open for me. As I've said, you can just back off here, use this bush. This bush is actually pretty nice. It's a tiny bush, but it actually gives you a lot of cover, especially if you knock this tree down, because then you have kind of this cover from all over that way as well. You just need to be careful from anyone that's peeking up here or here. Straight away from the start of the match, I wouldn't recommend doing this. It's very open and not really very rewarding at times. And once, well, I mean, if your team fails here, it's kind of over for you, because you can't really go anywhere. You don't have anywhere to hide. The only place that you could go is down to the beach, and yeah, okay, right, we might as well talk about the beach now. Because this spot, as I've said, is kind of over once this team pushes here. Because you're just going to get spotted if you go this way, and the beach is the only other option. So why don't I recommend going to the beach at the start of the game? Right. You could go to the beach at the start of the game, but it doesn't really offer you anything. The only thing, or only time, that the beach is useful is if you're trying to get a flanking shot on the enemies. Now, this could be later on in the game if the enemies are, divided quite a bit. So, for example, there could be 8 tanks left, and you have 8 tanks as well. And you know that that one of the tanks was spotted down here for heavies, and the rest of them were up here. As long as your team is going to be pushing here, you and another person go here, clear out the beach, and then just push this. Because even if you die and you spot the rest of the enemies and they're all pushing the beach, your team just comes here and comes here and just farms them because they can't go anywhere else. And that's the main problem with the beach. You're kind of just stuck down there in a free farm for anyone that wants to get into a position to shoot them. And there's loads of positions to shoot people on the beach. You can go right here, anywhere around here, and if you go here and you actually aim down, because you can kind of like hang off the cliff a little bit and then back off, the people down the bottom don't stand a chance because they can't elevate their guns enough to shoot you. And yeah, we get these amazing cliff dive replays as well from people that just jump off the cliff in the mouse or whatever and just crush someone for all their health. But the main problem with the beach is that once you get down here, it's very hard to get out of it again. And unless you want to spend all your time going all the way back into your own base and then going somewhere else, you've kind of just lost the game at that point. Because if your super heavies go down to the beach, it's almost game over because they can't get back in time and they can't even progress in time. Because by the time they get here, the match is already over and they're just going to get farmed by everyone in different positions. So you're kind of at a disadvantage because your team's been sent off there when the rest of your team is over here fighting it out. So yeah, that's why the beach is a very bad idea at the start of the game, and it shouldn't be used unless in certain situations where it is actually viable. So there you go, that's everything I wanted to show you, an overview of Overlord. If you did enjoy this video, then you know what to do, and if you didn't, then dislike it, I don't really care. And I'll see you in the next one.